Look at you.
What's up, Alex? So, Andrea.
Hi, Maria. Okay, we're still expecting from my phone call efforts, Michael Brohan, Jane Mattingly, Annette Nielsen said she'd be a minute late because of PT, so we're not expecting her quite yet. We are expecting Michelle Scott and Marnie.
Okay, great.
Do you think they're coming in? The requests are coming, you know? Yeah. Okay, as long as it's working.
They're probably just gonna be a little late. If you guys wanna start now.
We can start, if Ron, when you're ready. Wait, we can't start. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good. Few more.
1,
Oh.
2, 3, 4.
Sorry.
6.
Hi, Alex.
We have 6. You can start.
Yeah.
We can start. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. It's 4:00. And you've got a list of who's here and who's not here. And let me find the agenda. There it is. So, do we have anyone there for public comments?
No.
No. All right. So we met that. How about the minutes of the October meeting?
The minutes for the October meeting will be available soon. We'll have to do them after the fact. The 3 weeks instead of 4 actually threw off schedules. So
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, let's introduce each other. I'm Ron Ferretra. I'm the chairman of the commission. And I've been on it now for what, a year and a half, I think. So who's next? Alex?
Sure.
sure.
I'm Alex Jackson. I've been on the commission for a few years now. But I'm glad to be here and glad to support the accessibility initiatives for the city.
Trey Hemphill. I've been on the committee for a year now. Yep, I'm looking forward to supporting the initiative as well.
Okay, Marka, how about you?
I'm Marka Danielle, and I've been on and off the committee for quite a number of years now, and I'm just here to serve, get things done.
Okay, and I'm Bonnie Gilraith, and I've been on the commission for a while. And Margaret, did you get married? Is that what I heard?
I'm engaged.
You're okay. All right. So, okay. All right. Well, you're not supposed to congratulate the woman, but best wishes. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, it's quite the change after many years of being solo. So.
And Jane, will you introduce yourself for us?
Hello, my name is Jane Mattingly. I'm happy to be here virtually. This is my first time attending. Thank you for having me. I am a local advocate. I'm a master's in clinical mental health counseling, and I have my debut book coming out this spring with Penguin Random House. This is Body Grief. I specialize in eating disorders and body image and body grief. I have been disabled by chronic illness for the past 6 years. I have a dynamic disability by chronic illness and use a wheelchair and have a service dog.
Great. And Martinique, are you there? There you are. Will you introduce yourself, please, to us?
It's on mute.
It's muted, Martinique.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. My name is Marnique Strickland, and I'm not sure what the full content of the introduction is, but happy to be here today. I'm an occupational therapist connected to the disability community for, 38 years. and just glad to be with you all today and see what we can do together.
Glad you're here too.
Thanks.
Okay, did we miss anybody?
Amy?
Oh, Amy, yeah, that's because I can't see the screen. Amy,
Uh,
introduce yourself to us, please.
Hello, my name is Amy Hassan. I am serving my first term, and I am a low vision individual in the blind community, and I work as a job coach for a nonprofit organization, and I'm excited to be on this committee.
All right. And that's everybody but one person?
We're missing two people, three may still show up. Michael
Oh,
Drohan
okay.
and Annette Nielsen and Michelle Scott.
Okay.
And Maria said she was going to try and be on virtual, didn't she?
I thought she was on there. We did.
No, I don't see her.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, she's gone. She was here.
She was here. She went somewhere.
Oh, okay.
She left and went home. All right. So next on the agenda. Develop a plan to make city facilities fully compliant with ADA requirements. And not only fully compliant, but intelligently compliant. You
That's
know,
asking too much.
you can put a door there with a 4-pound pull, but that doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you're in a wheelchair. You need a button there. So I want us to come up with a plan to make the city. We can't make businesses, in my mind, be fully compliant when we're not fully compliant. And I think the city's hid behind too much for too long. They say, oh, we're grandfathered. Oh, we don't have to do that. Oh, we're not required to. Well, we need to. I don't know that we'll ever be able to get them to fix the sidewalks in Charleston, but we can at least get them to put buttons on all the doors. And make all of the bathrooms truly accessible with a wheelchair. And just that crazy stuff that's not getting done.
Removing carpet where it should not be.
Yeah, my wheelchair does not like carpet.
Nope. And the Gilliard Center is a little rough where there's carpet, like to get to some of the bathrooms and get around there.
Yeah, because the casters don't want to do their thing. So you get it moving forward. Oh, Maria's back.
Some of the libraries as well.
Yeah, there's a ton of places. So, my plan, and you guys can add to it or tell me I'm crazy, is that we first kind of make a list of what we'd like to see done. And then we either get the mayor to come to a meeting, which I would love to do. And we explain to the mayor why this needs to be done. And if he hasn't figured that out yet, I got another crazy idea. Is we'll borrow some wheelchairs and we'll put some council people in wheelchairs for a day and say, here, see what it's like.
Ron, I have asked every single representative from the city to county to federal representatives. I've invited them to join me here in Charleston or in Washington, D.C. I will provide wheelchairs, and I've invited them to roll around the city of their choice at any time. Sorry for that. And I have been turned down every single time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised at that.
I'm
But
happy. I think it's a fabulous idea. I'm in. But making that happen appears to be something of a challenge.
well, I think maybe if we just suggest it to them, that they might at least then think a little bit.
I have,
Like the bathroom stalls. Okay, the door in the bathroom stalls either is fully open or fully closed. And when it's fully open, you get in there with your wheelchair. How do you get it to close it? It's a challenge.
Can I think one idea would be maybe making some suggestions to the Gill Yard. They do have a new manager over there because I usher over there. I volunteer usher. And they do seem to be amenable to making some changes. So that maybe just get some low hanging fruit. So but they do seem to be, and there are definitely some issues.
I know that the Gilliard is very, very good at like when I get a ticket to go to the Gilliard, they always call me up and say, do we need to take out a seat for you, or are you going to sit in your
Oh,
chair?
very nice.
What are you going to do? The North Charleston Coliseum, that's not in the city, I know that. But the North Charleston Coliseum, they don't have squat for 88 for wheelchairs. What they're counting as accessible seating is
Companion
uh,
seat,
say that again?
companion seats.
Yeah, the ones that they've sold up to all the businesses, they count those as mobility seats, which that's fine if nobody's in them, but if that business happens to be in them, you don't have any. But anyway, we can't tackle North Charleston, so
would it
and
be, sorry, Ron, would it be helpful to have, like a call to action on, like a social media front, or even like with a contact with like the news, in regards to this, like, sweetie, silent.
Or I would even say,
Um,
I would even say with the county of Charleston or the city of North Charleston, do they have committees like this? Do you know, Janet? No.
And remember that we're on the committee to work with the city. We're appointed by the city to be on the committee to work with the city and not to, I mean, if we did media, we would need to coordinate with the city because again, we are a committee of the city. So
I know in
Well, maybe that's the way to do it.
because I do have some contacts, in like a collaborative way.
but they have a media person with the city who does all of that. Yeah.
Mhm.
we've done a few stories over the last couple of years where Live 5 News or Channel 4 has contacted Janet and talked about some accessibility things. I agree that media is probably one of the ways we can go to advocate. So I think definitely a multi-faceted approach in terms of advocating, including the media would be.
I just want to make sure the committee continues. And if you, I mean, you have to work with the city staff and with the city. And yeah.
I have had some time to give this extensive thought. And the county Parks and Recreation has been extraordinarily helpful to me in doing that. So in a few minutes, when there's the report from the ADA coordinator, I will tell you what I have come up with, unless Ron, you'd like me to go ahead and put that out there now. You tell me.
oh, throw it out there now.
Okay. It's kind of involved.
Okay.
But to do Charleston, the city of Charleston by itself is not enough. As you just talked about the Coliseum, it's not enough. So the ADA coordinators, I'm trying to help work with the county Parks and Rec to put together a meeting of ADA coordinators in the first of the year. The idea being to go ahead and just treat the region, even though North Charleston has an ADA coordinator, but they don't have a committee. The county of Charleston the Recs department has an ADA coordinator, but to my knowledge, they don't have an ADA coordinator within the county at the moment. I would like to get input from a regional perspective, because there's no sense in doing just one thing and not all the rest. I think that we can do that at the July celebration of the ADA signing. It will take us that, I know it seems like forever, it will take us that long to
We're almost
come up.
in January.
What?
We're going to be in January before we know it.
Yes, we are. So, but if we can come up with general concepts like Ron gave us in the first place, the concept of making sure the bathroom is accessible. And then if we ask for specifics under that, I think I keep asking people the same thing and they can rarely give me specifics. Although Michael Drohan gave me a great specific when I, it was the 187 Raw.
Yes.
Yes.
The sushi bar.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, so we can get into specifics too,
They always have ramps.
but we'll start with general concepts. The fair housing comes up with the idea of getting from the right of way, the accessible right of way, through an accessible route to an accessible door, and then you get to use the bathroom or whatever else is in there. So I think, oh, go ahead, Marka.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
What?
We have the ADA, which is all of those concepts. I don't understand why we kind of have to reinvent the wheel when there are already rules in place.
How are they enforced, Marka?
Well, they're not, but
No, there is one enforcement method. One,
Just by doing.
the Department of Justice. You have to complain to the Department of Justice, which when we go out with a carrot and a stick, or when we collect information and we can say to the Coliseum, for example, we can say, we've received a complaint because of this. We're happy to work with you, or we can complain about you to the Department of Justice. It's pretty easy to do the complaint to the Department of Justice. But it won't be just the city, it will be the regional ADA people. I don't know how to, I hate to say, huh?
Community.
Community, yes, community's good.
Okay,
So,
I understand that. So are we trying to then just go around the city and come up with examples of where the city is failing?
we
Are
can,
we talking about
I pretty
city
much know that.
buildings? Or are we talking about, for example, I was going to bring up today, Angel Oak Park. People cannot get to Angel Oak. Are we going to look for many different scenarios that we need to fix? I'm just trying to understand
Yeah,
the
no,
end
that's-
goal. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be negative. I just want to make sure I understand the concept of what it is we're going to do.
well,
Whether we
it
do
hasn't
just
been
with
figured
you-
out because I've just in the last week come up with the idea of creating regional ADA community. Because I think that a regional community will be more effective. And y'all are open, I mean, I'm open to your input, of course, because you'll be doing the work. But I think that that might be a more effective, it's a little more organized and a little more pinpointed.
Yeah, but it's more loud, I guess, when you have a larger community saying something.
And that's where we bring in Jane's media. We bring, wouldn't they love to be at something like that, Jane?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, especially like, I think if we can come up with a good blueprint, and it can have like more of like focused, like we could have focus groups, etc. Absolutely.
This is a whole nother alliance. This is a whole nother, I mean, I see the value of having a meeting with other communities, once a year or so, but Janet, you're talking about forming a whole nother alliance.
Yep.
And that's not something that I can mandate
Yeah.
or even, I mean, I can kind of cobble it together with the other ADA coordinators, but that's why I said earlier that I was open to your input because you'll have to be doing the work. And Martinique has her hand up.
I was wondering, thanks, wondering if we could bring it back in. I was actually thinking a little bit of the opposite, to
Okay.
focus on, if we are a city commission, to focus on the public sector buildings and spaces and use that as a starting point to be able to bring forward information, like Marco was saying, using the ADA regulations that are not in compliance and then bring them forward as grievances instead. I think that way you at least have, some kind of legal backing using the ADA and some kind of accountability point people that you can, hold accountable. And then if not brought forward or if not addressed by a certain point, then you'd be able to then say, and we'll raise it further to the Department of Justice as necessary, because now you've been notified and know that it's not in compliance, and you have a written form to say that these are the findings from the commission that you've created.
And even if they're not, even if they, like he was saying earlier, if they were grandfathered in, I mean, at some point let's encourage them to. I mean, my mother always talks about Dillard's. It's just impossible. The doors and the whole, yeah. So I'm tired of hearing about the grandfathering. It's grandfathered as well.
Yeah.
And there's another, yes.
Not to cut in, this is Mei Lee. Because the majority of us seem to be on Zoom today, I know that y'all want to have like a back and forth discussion, but I feel like it would be better for us to do everybody's muted, and when you want to say something, you raise your hand in the browser so that we don't run over each other, and it's a lot easier for things to be listened to later on. So just for today. That's it. Go back to talking.
Well, can we hear from Annette?
Yes, Annette has her hand raised.
She is. There we go.
Annette?
We can't hear you. Okay. If you're having difficulties with your mic, hold the thought that you have, try to figure that out. And if you can't, send a message in the general chat, then we can get to you that way. Ron?
I think the idea of trying to get an area wide is phenomenal, because the problem, it's not just a city problem. And when people show up here, I went to, oh geez, which one was it, Janet? One of the houses on 61 to eat. And to get in, you go through a gate that my wheelchair barely fit through, and you go through the kitchen to get in. And there's no need for that. There's outside seating, and they could put a ramp right there, and you could go right in through the outside seating. But their answer is, well, we're grandfathered. Just because you're grandfathered doesn't mean you can't do it.
I'm not sure they are grandfathered, actually.
Well, they're probably, if
I
they're
think
not
they're just saying it.
grandfathered,
Yeah, I think they're just saying that because it shuts people up.
yeah.
But then if we do this process and we create a paperwork trail of accountability, then they get to tell us how they think they're grandfathered.
Yeah. I would like to see all of the area ADA people working together at the same time, working the same projects. Because if we do that, then we'll get Jane's idea of having people hearing about it on the TV through multimedia. You know, I think we should not be afraid to do our job with the city.
Agreed.
Um, and I think a lot of times we're afraid to push the mayor or city council to do stuff. But that's our job. Our job's to advise them
I
what
think
needs
we
to be
should do it.
done.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand.
I think people need to just talk if they need to talk, but
Annette sent a message saying she's having microphone issues. So, Annette, if you can hear me, maybe if you want to type into the chat and one of us can read it, I'll be happy to read what you sent, or we can all read it.
And maybe log in and log back out. Or log back in.
Oh, yeah, that you try that too. I have two questions, Janet, or for the group. Do you remember when we did that film? It was somebody's family who was,
Yes.
we did a really, whatever happened to that project? Is there any way to maybe come back to that and try to request that we use that? And secondly, how about getting permission from the city of Charleston's media people to do some public service announcements? I think that was discussed at some point, but you know, here we are. This is what these parking spaces are for. This is what a curb cut is for. Well, and we could use not only those of us with a disability, but also people who are aging to show how these issues are impacting not only people with disabilities, but our aging community. I think public service announcements, if we can get them on the TV through the news or as commercials of some sort, I mean, what better way to educate people than through what most people use, and that's the TV.
And social media.
Social media, of course, yes. I think it would have to be tied to social media.
and can I just say that I did regional planning, as most of you know, for 18 years. And I think if you want to do like a half a day forum and have representatives come from, you know, all the municipalities and the larger communities, that's one way of doing it. Or you could do just the big municipalities and come in force, like Mount Pleasant, North Charleston, Goose Creek, and have the bigger ones. I mean, that there are a lot of different ways that you could do that and put some pressure on, because the issues are common to all the communities. So that's a further discussion that we might need to have a committee for this.
Bingo. Ron, you want to put together a committee?
Committee to do what?
A committee to explore regional data gathering and plan creation to gather the data and create a procedure for delivering it to people who have violations, and a procedure for following up with them in a certain number of months, and a procedure for then sending it on to the Department of Justice if ramifications, you know, if that doesn't work. And I would also put another social media part into it. I think if you do PSA announcements and say, oh, by the way, last month, this company put in ramps. That seems like that would be a really good carrot.
So, do you want subcommittee?
But the one thing we have to do is we have to make sure that the city is doing their thing. Because I don't think we can go out there and go after any given restaurant and say you got to do this when the guy can go down to City Hall and find out that what we want him to do is not done there. So you know, I like the idea of the regional committee. I like the idea of when we get a complaint, put it on paper, give them a timeline to fix it. If they don't fix it, then send it up the line. I think that's a perfect idea. But we just need to make sure that the city's doing their thing first.
Well, along those lines, I learned today that the city has included in the budget, as of the moment, everyone knock wood, the complete relaying of all the bluestone on Broad Street, which should make.
Hey, what?
Huh? Pardon?
He just said what?
Yes, and what?
Like, he was surprised.
Yeah, so that should make Broad Street like King Street. Not exactly, but close. So that indicates that the city hasn't done everything it's supposed to, but that it's several $million closer than it was. Is that enough, Ron? I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, it's a start, that makes the sidewalk nice. And at one point in time, I knew how many trip and fall suits that the city had, and it was large. It was a big number. It was 3 digits
Catch you and get ice.
on any given day.
No. How? Excuse me? Excuse me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to understand, what is it that they've done on Broad Street?
Nothing yet. They have put it into the budget to have the bluestone relayed on Broad Street. So right now the bluestone's all higgly-piggly. And if this project is able to be done, the bluestone will be set with a level, which is an amazing concept. So, and the spaces between it should be, even though it's historic, it should be completely accessible. Does that make sense?
That would be nice. And then if we could do the other low-hanging fruit, is what I think is low-hanging fruit is electrify all the doors, including the recreation facilities, because none of those have them.
Let's not electrify them. Let's make power buttons.
Well, that's what I mean by electrify.
Sorry. I'm just kidding. I wanted to lighten up the.
But I think we can do it all. I would like to see how you come out, Janet, when you start talking to the ADA people from the other municipalities in the county, to see how much they're willing to get into this. I know that ADA stuff costs money, but I also know that I see more and more wheelchairs. Costco's just put in 25 more accessible parking spots. If you try to get a motorized cart at Costco's, you better get there either very early or very late in the day.
Yeah, I mean, baby boomers.
And they have, I think it's 8 that they use, so.
I had another idea. Is there room for us to be proactive with our planning? Can we invite with all this city public works going on, like Union Pier and the new pedestrian bridge and even the Sumar Street development, the stuff that's still in the planning process, can we invite planners to give them input in a more universal design sort of thing. So they're not just doing, the bare minimum, curb cuts and yes, electrifying the doors, but they're actually designing this stuff with more modern design principles in mind.
Invite them, but
We can invite them, yeah. We can invite them. A couple of years ago, and by a couple of years ago, I mean 20, when Harriet was still with us. Harriet was very worried about, Harriet was an attorney and she had a form of muscular dystrophy. She died in, I don't know, 2008. Yeah. And she was a great advocate. Anyway, Harriet wanted the Magnolia group that's in the north area to be watched carefully. And so I was put on the technical review committee. So I am on the committee that looks at all of these things. I can't push universal design. I can only do ADA. But I understand the difference of which you speak. So you can invite them. I don't know if anybody will come because they think they're doing what they're supposed to, even though if I had
have to.
Right, exactly. I mean, if I could have a tattoo on my hand, the ADA is a bare minimum, then that's what I would show people on a regular basis. I say it a lot, but they may have gotten used to me. They may have gotten used to me, jammering. Maybe they need a new face.
How do we get in contact with these people to say, hey, I'm in a wheelchair. Let me show you what you need to do. How do we get people to pay attention to the basics? We don't even have the basics.
Yes, we do. Marco, what doesn't have a basic?
Look, I'll go back. It took me to get from the county garage to the Dock Street Theater for an opera a year ago.
Okay.
A year and a half ago.
Two
It took
small
me
streets.
30 minutes because the sidewalks are so poor. I couldn't go other than like pop a wheelie, push over, pop a wheelie, push over. There is no reason that downtown, I know we've had these conversations over and over again, and who owns what street, the city, the county, the state. I understand that. But how do we get ourselves in front of the people making the actual decisions? We sit here and we talk over and over and over again about the same things, but it doesn't seem like anybody is hearing us. And I'm going to pop in, Annette said that she now has a microphone, so.
Yay.
Let's take one brief moment and do an agenda. Motion for we need to amend the agenda to include the foundation of a subcommittee, not a committee. That was my misspeak, and I needed to fix that. So now that we've said that in the meeting, it's fixed. Magic. And what do you think, Annette?
Sorry about that. There was just some issues, and I'm sorry not to be on video, but I'm still in a hospital bed and not really ready for prime time, if you get my drift. So this is a couple of steps back in the conversation where we were talking about getting in touch with the other ADA coordinators and taking some action. So you're telling me that all this time there's been no communication between ADA coordinators for the region?
Well, no formalized communication between the ADA coordinators. No, it was a miracle we had any.
Because it strikes me, for example, the regional thing will again, be the secret shopper with hurricane shelters. The region would connect in on that. I'm wondering if it's not an either or proposition, but a both and. It doesn't have to be a huge chunking formalized meeting type of thing with ADA coordinators, but at least to open communication. That's number one. Number two, when we talk about making sure that the city is doing what it needs to do in order to be truly ADA compliant and accessible. A few years back, if you remember, there was a bunch of us who went to look at the Gilliard when all of that was being done. And that's where we found the idea that the outer doors had an electronic opener, but the next set of doors inside to let you actually into the building space itself was not. So you could get stuck there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I once waited an hour before someone was coming that way, they could open the door. Also, unless it's changed, sorry, it's been a while since I've been down there, in the Gilliard, center, just around the corner from where you folks are meeting, there's that little bathroom that everybody visits either before or after meetings. And the last time I was there was still no bathroom anywhere in the building that had push button electronic opener access. So we have been tackling these things before, but for me, it seems that where we really need to get some action is that when they have the building inspectors, they have to inspect for fire, they have to inspect for water, they have to inspect for capacity, and these other various categories. It would seem to me that there should be the same kind of punch list for accessibility, ADA compliance, that gets taken care of before opening permits are granted.
For new construction, there is, I mean, architects have to put accessibility items on their plans. For renovations, it has to be the dollar amount of the construction would have to be 50% of the total value of the building and the property for them to have to do substantial improvements, which would include accessibility. So that's sometimes how some of these restaurants get around not getting completely up to ADA code, is they don't do improvements because that are more than 50% of the value of the property.
And that's helpful to know. The only thing is even for new construction, when they have the ADA regulations in front of them, when we did the roll through at the Gilliard, for example, we went on the second level and there's this big carpeted foyer. And even though it was technically with the padding underneath, meeting just barely the ADA requirements, anybody in our group who was in a manual wheelchair had an incredibly difficult time wheeling across that carpeted area. So yes, it met, but yet it didn't. Again, it was during our roll through that we found where only half of the entrance was accessible and open, that you needed 2 sets of door openers for each set of doors. So I guess that's where the inspectors need to be aware and that's of making sure that all of those boxes are checked.
Yeah, things are definitely missed in those review processes.
I wanted to really quickly, for the regional ADA coordinators, would it be helpful if we had like a representative from each of the municipalities come here to our meeting to give like a 10-minute update of what their organization is doing, just to keep us aware and to just help us help them in a way. So I know we're for the city and can mainly focus on the city responsibilities, but since we all work and live and play in all of these other jurisdictions, it may be helpful for us to have an understanding of what these other locations are doing as well.
I think it might be better or easier and getting them to show up here, then if we can get their contact information, one of us, and I would be happy to reach out to them and just have a conversation with them and have them and bring an update to our meeting.
Isn't that what Janet does?
Well, yeah, but,
Like she said earlier, I guess not formally.
well, no, there's nothing formal about it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing formal about it. And the county doesn't have an ADA coordinator right now. That makes it challenging.
Anybody like for a job?
Sorry. Yeah, no kidding. Mount Pleasant and North Charleston do have ADA coordinators. And I hear from them quasi regularly. The last time I called the guy in Mount Pleasant, he seems to be gone, but I don't know that for sure.
What I would
I do
propose
have a question.
put this together is that we actually go before city council and present it to them at city council.
Present what? Present what? I'm sorry.
When we decide what we're gonna do, we put the proposal together and we go to city council and we give them that proposal at a city council meeting. That does a couple of things. Now, the first thing it does is it puts them on notice that that's what we're doing. The second thing it does is other people will see it and hear it.
We're supposed to go to city council annually to report. I think that's a great time to do that.
Yep.
Oh. Jane?
Yeah, sorry, I can't find my hand for some reason on here.
It's where the
So
heart is.
yeah, okay, thank you. I'm just trying to, I've been on many other planning meetings before, with other things, but this is my first one here. And so I don't, want to barge in or like disrupt anything, but, just trying to get like a feel for kind of how things are organized here. Because it seems like this happens monthly. But also, it seems like having lived in Charleston for so long, and being disabled and talking to the disabled community, being on social media and being an advocate here, you know, people are so frustrated. And I do want to second what Marca said. We don't have basic rights, and we don't. We don't have marriage equality, so we don't have basic rights here. But so what is our main goal out of these meetings?
My main goal is that we get all of the city facilities truly ADA compliant,
Okay,
and we get most or all of the businesses ADA compliant.
love that.
You go to halls and first off, you have to park out back behind halls because you can't find any street parking.
Yeah.
So they have to go in the back door, and you can barely get your wheelchair in to go to where they're going to seat you in the front by the piano.
So it seems like there's two, if you don't mind me making an observation, there's definitely like, it seems like there's two views in the meeting. There's definitely like very like a conservative view, and then there's definitely like more of like a revolutionary view, like when it comes to like us meeting here, which I think is like really cool. But like when it comes to us like talking about what we're gonna do, like how do you guys usually leave the meetings? Like, is it like with like points and then everyone leaves with like what we're gonna actionably do? Or like how do we leave the meetings?
Well, last year, unfortunately, we didn't get a lot accomplished because we went, I think it was 7 months that we weren't able to meet because we didn't have a quorum.
Got it.
Hopefully we've solved that problem and we can move forward. But I think what we need to do now is everybody needs to think about what we talked about when we come back next month. Bring your thoughts to that, and we need to start putting something down on paper what we want to do. A
Can we make
plan.
a shared Google Drive?
I hate Google Docs.
I know, but I think that that's like a really good way to like continue. And if it's not Google, we can make it something else.
Okay. Hang on and let me give you some
Okay. Just
if
putting
we
that out and I'll be quiet from here on out.
if we do a Google Doc and we put it out there and you put anything on it, your computer then can be searched by the city if they think that you've done something wrong, if somebody wants to do a record search, they can search your whole computer because you used your computer for city business.
Yes, don't forget about FOIA.
Okay, no thanks.
FOIA is real.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm not
What?
interested in that.
What is?
FOIA, it's the Freedom of Information Act.
Oh, right.
Where the
Sorry.
public can ask for information.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. So no
No
thanks.
kidding.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I know, none of us are.
Should we meet for a longer period of time, maybe next time? Or it's hard just in an hour, but
If we do, I would love to have a motion to change it to not Fridays at 4 o'clock.
there was a reason for that, and Janet can explain it.
Okay, but right now, I think what we need to do is we have another item on the agenda that's an important item. And that's Alex's planning for the ADA. What are we calling it, Alex? A birthday party?
We just call it a celebration. That's
Or
what-
an anniversary celebration?
Yeah.
Do that. Marnique has a question posted in the comment section. I don't know if anybody answered it. Is there a recent demographic map of citizens impacted with mobility limitations to know if that area is popularly utilized?
I'm not familiar with the demographic map. Would that be from the census?
Would we have gotten a little, I know we had talked
I
about,
couldn't hear the question. I'm sorry. What was it?
There's a recent demographic map of citizens impacted with mobility limitations to know if that area is popularly utilized. So I don't know if you guys are keeping up with like CPAC or what the
I'm
Charleston,
not aware of any data like that.
but they have demographic maps of different areas of the city for like crime report and things like that. They're trying to do something with a program. So
I'm not aware of any data like that, and that's what I did for a living. We'd have to ask the GIS department, but I'm not aware of any data like that. You can get it by age, and that can give you some indicators.
Seems kind of a HIPAA thing, but you're talking disability,
Yeah.
so.
I know a few months ago, we had talked about doing a survey, and we were sort of asking questions about type of mobility aids people use and which parts of town they are normally in. So that would sort of give you a sort of general idea of region stuff, but we haven't followed through on the survey yet, so.
But we know where senior living centers are, but again, age can tell you something. But that's an excellent question.
Okay,
Marnique has hand raised.
Follow up.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for the answer, and my homework takeaway is to start to generate some questions around the areas, especially in our medical complexes, and identifying which streets are around them that are actually, that of our cities.
Marnique, you're watery. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I was saying that I'll take as my homework assignment to be able to work on areas that are near our city's medical complexes to understand which streets are that of our cities versus counties and bring those to our awareness in the next and hopes that that's the motivation.
You're breaking up on us, Marnique, but I think what I heard was sort of you're wanting to help do a census of areas around the medical district.
Around the city, I think she was saying.
Correct.
I think once we do that survey, once we finish the survey, it hasn't been finished yet, has it, Janet?
It has. It's ready to go.
And we get permission to send that out, I think that will tell us a lot. Because we ask in there what areas, if my memory's right, we ask what areas do you think need improvement? But before we run out of time, Alex, why don't you tell us about the ADA anniversary party?
All right, so briefly, for those who are new to the group, last year we had a Americans with Disabilities Act anniversary celebration on July 24th, I believe it was. The anniversary is actually on the 26th. I might have those dates backwards, but we held it out at the new North Charleston Park Circle playground and facility out there, and had a few local disability organizations out there to just celebrate. We had food, had a guest speaker that was virtual. And so I want to get ready for next year's event, and in talking with Janet and the county park folks, they're wanting to help sort of spearhead or sponsor the location for next year's event. So it would most likely be at one of the county parks, either James Allen County Park or Wanamaker, not quite sure yet, but an accessible facility, making it bigger and better than last year or this year, and celebrating the ADA. I think that will be something where we can have the mayors from all areas, any representatives from the area, to show them what it's like living with a disability in the community, and give that community perspective of what we're trying to advocate for. So just wanted to start the discussion, not today technically, but get your minds thinking about who would want to be there, organizations that you want to see, topics that we should discuss, those ideas, and we can begin planning for that over the next several months. Any questions or comments at the moment?
Annette has her hand raised.
Yeah, just a couple of things. So we're looking at the 35th anniversary of the ADA, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, it's a nice milestone number. So 35 is also the level when it can be considered a tropical storm. So maybe what we look at is 2025, we take this whole ADA awareness as by storm. So January, we put out that survey. January, we also maybe put another version of that survey that is sent to businesses in terms of how are you accommodating and complying with ADA, that kind of thing, so we can get a little insight on how businesses see themselves. And we can use, and maybe we can then get the mayor to designate one of the months as ADA month or whatever, to make it official. And then that comes back to maybe a public service announcement or two. I mean, we have a wonderful opportunity to kind of say, this is where we were 35 years ago. Look at what power wheelchairs looked like 35 years ago. Look at what employment situation was 35 years ago, and all. And here we are now. So look at the progress, but look where we need to go. So it's not clonking people over the head with a bat and saying, evil, you are not complying, but it's kind of help bringing them along the process. But as I said, to take 2025 and the 35th anniversary and kind of run with that milestone birthday, so to speak. And that folds exactly into what Alex was just talking about.
I think that's a great idea.
I did too.
Thank you, Annette.
Excuse me for, oh, sorry. Are you still talking, Alex? I can't hear you.
Go ahead, Martha, you're fine. We've got just a minute or so.
No, I know. That's why I'm gonna have to hop off. And I think that's a great idea, Annette. I love the way you're thinking. I would just like to throw out, I would like permission to speak with the city as media people to talk about public service announcements. And I would, Alex, offer myself up to create a flash mob for that event.
Thank you, Marka.
All right. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'm sorry, I have a sick dog that I need to take care of. So thank you all.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your inputs. It was great.
Thanks.
See you in the neighborhood.
All right, our time is up. Everybody has their homework. And we'll start putting together a plan that we can take before city council. Hand them some paperwork that says this is what we need. And then also work with, try to get some regional backing in there with it.
Actually, Ron, before y'all go, the deferral of the minutes needs to have a motion. So I need somebody to motion to defer and then second.
Motion to defer.
Second.
Third.
Okay.
Any other bookkeeping you need to do? Okay.
To adjourn.
We're gonna motion to adjourn. Wait a minute. Our next meeting is December 20th
Yes.
at 4 o'clock. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second.
Third.
Yay. We actually don't need seconds on adjournments. I don't know why. I never understood that, but